I'm doing a giveaway. Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can enter to win. What is up, everybody? I'm No Luck's Given, and today we are going to take a look at a classic hero. It's been a little bit since I've looked at Merlin on the channel, and honestly, I'm getting a little bit rusty with the old guy, so I figured I would dust him off and take him out for a spin, see if I still got it. And I'm going to start off by buying and selling the golden chicken. That way we can roll the die 50-50 onto the baby dragon, and we'll get that roll the die +1/+1 in addition to the Merlin +1. Unfortunately, we don't have a castable spell in the second shop, and when I roll and see the baby dragon, I just pick up that because it had the most stats and it was a pair, though it was potentially a mistake. I think that when you were playing Merlin, you just always want to pick up Wizard's Familiars on the early level. That's just going to set you up so well for the end game. Like I said, I'm a little bit rusty, but we can dust it off and still recover from this. I'm going to wind up picking up Wizard's Familiar, then I actually just cast Magic Research and roll. I do think that we are probably strong enough right now, just with all of the Merlin buffs, that it is worth it to just pick that up. And I liked picking up the 3/3 more than I liked just picking up the baby root in this case, along with a 1/1. So I thought that this was pretty good, and baby dragons are typically going to line up pretty well against Geppetto, and Geppetto, we can see here, does have a Mad Mim. So we'll get to keep the Magic Research. That's why, by the way, baby dragon lines up well against Geppetto, because they are very likely to prioritize Mad Mim pretty highly. From here, I just go for a True Love's Kiss. It's a little bit awkward that we cannot kiss a 3-cost unit, but again, just trying to play tempo, play as strong as we can on the board. Maybe not again. I don't think I've really brought that part up, but that's kind of Merlin's strength, is to play a tempo game, play the best board. Oftentimes I am playing down units when I play Merlin, and you really don't want benched units on this hero unless those benched units are pairs and are building towards some potential treasures. The reason for that is you don't want your excess hits to just go to waste, and it's actually better to build up bigger units earlier on and then later on work towards making sure you're playing 7 units. I like the Falling Stars here because it's a free spell that gives free stats, but it is a little bit awkward in that it will kill our Sherwood Sure Shot, which is being pretty reasonable for us in that it's getting pumped up by a stag. So I'm just going to wind up picking up the stag and rolling, and then I roll off of the XP as well. Could have seen going for the XP, but ultimately I think that this was better. And then I actually just decide to sell the Sherwood Sure Shot as well. I think that if you think about it, that probably makes us stronger for this turn, right? Casting an Earthquake is probably going to be better than a Sure Shot. And you can see the Earthquake is pretty fabulous for us. So definitely good work by that. And then the other thing is just, again, if we're selling off some of those smaller units and not really committing super hard to them, it's probably going to serve us well down the line. So that's what I go for, and then on turn, what is this, turn 6, I go for a Turkish Delight plus a roll, with the idea being we could still pick up a 4-cost unit this turn, and I like picking up Nutcracker here, building towards a tier 4 treasure. There is something very specific that we want to do with our gold now. Kind of funny to still be playing down a unit, but Stag definitely makes that work, and I think that we're doing pretty well for this stage of the game. Still 37 health, leading the lobby, spending a bunch of gold up on XP, and yeah, overall doing pretty good for ourselves. But it can definitely be a little bit weird. I said play tempo. XP can be tempo, especially when it gives you +1/+1, plus some bonuses to some of your other units. It pumps up the Wizard's Familiar and the Spellweaver, but it just unlocks better units quicker. This combat is really, really unfortunate. I think that we were pretty likely to win that one. Oh no, actually, if I remember, we weren't. Let's see. It's not popping up on the screen. Maybe this was before the tracker was active again. But yeah, it felt unlucky to have some of our units be targeted in that way. This is definitely one of the weirder moments of the game, and ultimately I think that this was probably a mistake, but I'll tell you why I'm making this play here too. So locking onto Genie's Wish after picking up a second Wizard's Familiar, I definitely think that it's not too late to pick up a second Wizard's Familiar. I think that that part's good. Genie's Wish is going to give +2/+2 and +2/+0 to 3 of our different units here, pumping up the Wizard's Familiar and then the Spellweaver. Then it's also going to give 2 random Merlin bonuses as well as casting a spell. So it's not the worst thing in the world. It definitely is stats. However, when I am level 4 as Merlin, I think that you should be prioritizing over everything else just rolling for monster books. And to be honest, kind of just forgot about that aspect of the game, and going to wind up picking up a golden chicken here, and then I see the monster book and I'm like, oh yeah, legitimately, I had just kind of forgotten, and like I said, it's been a long time since I've played the hero, but I definitely want to prioritize that a little bit higher. I was, so that part's a little bit unfortunate, but we get to play a really strong board this turn. We get to pick up a, triple for the Wizard's Familiar, we pick up the monster book, and then I think I'm even going to take Ring of Meteors here. I'm not super inclined to pick up Rune Stones because I don't actually care about tier 5 treasures that much. Like even Staff of the Old Toad or Ambrosia or Hand of Midas, which are typically pretty good treasures, are not exactly what I'm looking for on Merlin. I mean, Staff of the Old Toad would be good. We find some monster books, maybe we find some copycats, but then we can no longer find Spellweavers and Wizard's Familiars. Of course, we could find Aeons, but it's just not a super high priority where I feel like there's a lot of good tier 4 treasures for Merlin. There's Forking Rod, Moonsong Horn, even some of the other ones like Gloves of Thieving or Horn of Olympus we could find a way to make work. Could take Krampus' Sleigh too, that's a good one that I forgot about, but Moonsong Horn has the word spell on it, so it's kind of just hard to go wrong there. I wind up picking that up. Basically, we are no longer going to be making use of the Ring of Meteors to huge effect, but it will still, it got us here, right? So I'll take it from that aspect. A Shard of the Ice Queen onto the, what was that, Nutcracker, and you're really hoping for a monster book there. Not going to be so lucky, but then I will triple the Stag, and there's 3 main things I'm looking for on that one. Merlin's Hat, Crystal Ball, obviously towards the front of the list, but treasure map, pretty good, especially when we can lock onto a Lancelot in the shop. We've got Lancelot plus Sporko, so it's already at 20 attack, and we'll just need a little bit more to push it over the hump. I think that these monster books are going to start to really show their power here now. We've got huge mages in the back line, 2 of them ranged units, and ultimately this is just going to be very, very strong. So we get a win against the lobby leader. Definitely good to see. We could True Love's Kiss Lancelot, but I am just going to try to activate it, grab ourselves that tier 7 treasure. That's kind of the idea here. And we'll wind up seeing a monster book, but what I really want here is just any spell to activate Lancelot. It's so close. So I sell the golden chicken and roll, and I don't find a spell that can activate Lancelot, but I do find a pair of 9 Sea Terrors. So we're going to stop down and pick that up. One of the reasons that I really liked rolling, by the way, we are playing up against Geppetto. So if I could have found something like a Luna's Grace even, I felt like that probably would have been enough to get us that 25 attack Lancelot. We give it +3, and then, or like a Burning Palm or something like that. We just have a pretty decent idea that it is going to be slaying in the combat. We could have also tried to do something like put Lancelot in the back line, hope to cast Ride of the Valkyrie, or just get some otherwise good Merlin hits on it, but I thought that this was fine, all things considered. We actually get really unlucky combat hits for ourselves, but we just have absolutely massive mages in the backline. So that's going to be enough to take out Geppetto and enough to allow us to pick up a tier 7 treasure right here and right now. We also steal a friendly spirit, which is good, and we'll even get to Luna's Grace Lancelot. But first, let's take a look at our tier 7 treasure, because maybe we could find something like Black Prism. It's not going to be quite Black Prism levels. That would have been really, really sweet, but Holy Grail on 5.2, you can't really go wrong with. So from here, we are probably going to be pivoting pretty hard out of mages. For that reason, I'm not going to worry about either of these Wizards Familiars, and I'm just going to sell off the stuff that I have on the bench, including this monster book, because next turn, we're just going for trees. It is possibly a little bit of a disappointing end to the video for some of you, and this isn't a bait. I know that I say this sometimes, and it's a bait because it feels a little samey to just, okay, get Holy Grail, go into trees. And I definitely agree with that as far as just like the content side of things is concerned, but I do think that there's an interesting perspective to take as far as Merlin is concerned. I think it plays pretty similarly to Fallen Angel, and that might seem a little bit weird because you don't play any of the same units. Oh, by the way, we get a Staff of the Old Toad on our Holy Grail turn, just to make it even more powerful. Cast a Lucky Coin. I probably want to sell everything off, so that way spells are just more likely to hit the units that I do have, and then I pretty quickly move into trees after that, and yeah, that's just going to be strong for us. We'll Knighthood the Ashwood Elm. What I mean by strong or similar to Fallen Angel is that Merlin has kind of this tempo-oriented plan that rewards you for picking up specific units, but then does kind of fall off later into the game and encourages you to pivot. And that's basically what we're looking at in this one. I took my early game strength, and that allowed me to get a tier 7 treasure, and then I pivoted off of that later. We're going to see that my opponent is going to be donating some extra dust to us because they have Mimic Chest plus the Fairy Queen's Wand. However, it is a Horde Dragon, and that is definitely something to be mindful of. We get to pick up another Ashwood Elm here and lock onto an Echo Wood, as well as cast a little bit of a bonus onto my existing Ashwood Elm. And the interesting thing that I am doing here is I actually am sort of using my hero power. So Deck of Many Things, a pretty good treasure on Merlin. That is going to cast a spell at the start of the combat, and for what it's worth, that is going to give one of my characters +1/+1 each turn. And if those +1/+1s land on my Ashwood Elms, that's actually pretty decent stats. That'll snowball over onto the burning trees and just overall pay dividends. So it's not really like we're playing Merlin. We're definitely playing trees more so, but those bonuses are going to add up before the end of the game because we still got a few more turns to go. So pay attention to those Merlin hits. I believe that one went on this Ashwood Elm, but it was very, very quick, so a little bit tough to see. Looks like we will be stronger than my opponent here, who is playing some summons and is going to go down to some trees. They're still alive, but they're going to be taking some damages. And you know what? Mimic Chest doesn't work with Staff of the Old Toad, but it is very good with Deck of Many Things in general, and definitely good with Deck of Many Things on Merlin because of what I just said. So, for that reason, I'm not going to dream. I am going to stay the course and stick to Merlin, and then I'm just rolling for trees. And we've got 2 copies of Burning Tree, 2 copies of Ashwood Elm, so we're just rolling for one more of either of those, and that'll basically complete the comp. After that, if we find another one, then we could potentially put in something like Pumpkin or Medusa, or even find another Echo Wood or Burning Tree or Ashwood Elm. So still a lot of options in the late game, or Robin Wood or Green Knight. Those also have potential play to them, but hopefully we can find another tree soon. Once we find that, we are probably going to replace Staff of the Old Toad with whatever tier 6 treasure we get, and then we'll have a doubled up tier 6 treasure. So a lot of really, really good options moving forward. Let's see how this pumpkin can do against us. Looks like we are going to be okay. We just have this massive Echo Wood, and my opponent has no scam on their side of the board. So we will be able to find a win here. Again, not a kill. So we're stretching out this game a little bit longer. We will find the Ashwood Elm here, and that will give us Ivory Owl, which is pretty insane with Mimic Chest and Echo Wood and all of this other stuff going on. Again, I could take the Robin Wood here in case I find the Burning Beard, but I'm just going to use my gold right now to start rolling and not really worry about it. Again, not interested in the Dream. We are now getting, double the stats from the deck and double the stats from the Owls. So honestly, our treasure selection is pretty good. And I think that this is basically all that we need. I actually considered right here just taking my hands off of the keyboard, and I think that that probably would win the lobby at this point, but I don't want to sell my opponents too short. We'll see if we need to add some additional stats yet and make ourselves a little bit stronger, but I have a feeling that if I just did not touch anything, that I would probably win this one. We'll see how that one goes, though. We are way too big for Trophy Hunter to slay against us. In fact, they don't even kill our Burning Beard with their Shadow Assassin there. So pretty easy one, and now we are on to the finals. And again, I was thinking about doing nothing, but it's one more game. Maybe we can find a scam spell with the Drink Me Potion. It just seemed too good to not do. So I figured I would go for that, and we actually find a pretty reasonable use of our last turn. We can cut one of our Heartwood Elders here and pick up another Ashwood Elm, which does actually contribute more stats to the board, and then from there we'll just go for a Lightning Bolt. So we can do the math real quick, but an Ashwood Elm giving plus 19 attack to both of the Burning Beards is then plus 19 health on each of them, so plus 38, and then that's plus 72 health on the Echo Wood. If we had played the Heartwood Elder, that's plus 8 on an upgraded Ashwood Elm, and then plus 8. I don't know. It's probably actually pretty close, but I figured picking up another unit here doesn't hurt. We do get a Pigomorph on a Bear Stain, which is really, really good for us, and that's actually just going to be it. My opponent's Echo Wood is not nearly big enough compared to mine. It is going to kill a Burning Beard and survive, but then it will go down to Heartwood Elder. Oh, and they're alive still with 5 health, so we've got some game to play. Probably don't want to pick up Medusa or Dream. I probably, at this point in the game, just want to roll for a spell, but then I find another Echo Wood, and that definitely seems good to me. I will fire off a Smite as well. Smite has really, really good targets against my opponent, can hit either Bear Stain or the Echo Wood, and just be quite great. And what is it going to hit? Okay, we get Pigode, and then we smite a Bear Stain. That is gonna be, yeah, pretty good for us. I also frontlined the Echo Woods just so that way we could deal more damage to my opponent. Potentially could have just done that last turn, but this is going to still be an easy win and an easy way to finish off the game. We were absolutely massive here with all of these trees, and ultimately a pretty good showing for Merlin, I have to say, despite not really feeling too much like a Merlin at the end of the game, but hey, we still cast a whole bunch of spells. That is going to be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm No Lux Given. Peace. This week's giveaway word is gold. Each week I use a new code word. That's just to distinguish who's commenting for which week, and the reason I have you guys say a code word, that way I can tell who is interested in the dust and who's just commenting to say hi or that they enjoyed the video, stuff like that. You can definitely do both, just make sure you include this week's code word. You can also enter as many times as you want per week, once per video. You can go back, leave comments on old videos, just make sure they include this week's word, but there's no limit to how many times you can enter, other than, I guess, the amount of videos that I have. And I've been putting out a bunch of Storybook Brawl videos since last October, so yeah, there are a bunch of opportunities to enter to win. You can go through the backlog and watch some of those, but it's been really fun to receive the comments from you guys, get that level of interaction. You can also come join me on my Discord, which I'm trying to grow right now, just so that I have, one, feedback on my titles and thumbnails and things like that, but I also have some fun ideas for special game modes that I could make work with lobbies of players in the future. So feel free to check that out as well. There is a link to that in the video description, and help me climb on my way to 1,000 subscribers. I'm getting there slowly but surely, and thank you guys all very much for your support.